resources and it's harmful to the planet. We're running out. So something needs to be done. With that in mind, we are focusing on option one, which calls for urgent action and drastic changes to our lifestyle in order to avert this crisis. And it goes into how we need to kind of ration supplies and really take care not to overuse things. It kind of refers to the World War II generation that rationed everything. It's very careful. So, with that in mind, let's go around and let's introduce why we're here and why this issue is important to each of us. Anyone can start.
There's also like different
My name is
consumer
Dimitri.
products that people
I guess I'm interested in this topic
can
because
buy
I care about
that have
how
that
our
promote a
future
healthy
generations
lifestyle,
experience
such as like environmentally
the earth and what they get out of it, because
products actually
we're in a
said
time where like
to
a lot is
improve
changing,
like
so
skin
it used to be nicer
and
back a
hairstyle.
long time ago,
And a lot of people aren't taking
but we still have some
options
of the
like
options
those,
to
particularly
try and
because of
maintain
the cost. How do you guys feel? Would you sacrifice increasing the price a little bit
this is
to have
it's very
more
important.
healthy and
It's something we need to deal
sustainable
with
products?
because if we don't deal with it now, it's going to affect future generations.
I think like
like it says, I think that something needs to be done, but the measures that are suggested might be a little too drastic, might be a little unrealistic. And I think you just need to find something that's going to be realistic, that is beneficial.
I definitely agree that America as a country and the world in general is consuming way too much. Personally, I'm entering the field of energy after I graduate from
Even if the cost is higher, but there are more
I'm looking to
benefits
go
and
into some
just the money in your
sustainability
pocket,
part of that.
you would be
So
healthier
this
and it
topic
would be
is
better
very
for everyone in
important.
the long run. It might be a better option.
I think that this issue is also really important
If you would
because
physically
as
afford
US
to live
citizens,
that
we
way,
are one of the main contributors to the problem. So even though the whole world is responsible,
I
I
agree
think
with
that
that
we have a
also.
particular stake in the issue.
If
Other
I, as
countries
a
might
college
not
student,
have.
having that luxury, if I
And
have to go
I'm not
buy
sure
like toothpaste
that
or
this
shampoo, I'm gonna buy
drastic,
like $4.
these drastic
$4
measures are
bottle
exactly
opposed
what
to,
we should be
like,
doing, but they should definitely
the
be.
$10 organic.
Okay.
Um,
So option one kind of describes this as a very big crisis. It says that we need to do something, we need to do something now, and it kind of relates it to the importance of this issue to World War II and how we had to really ration things in and really be careful. Do you think it's as important to do that now, to really ration things? Do we need to be that drastic right now? Or is that a little too intense?
I think that at this point, a lot of US citizens would be very upset with government rationing
Yeah, I know.
because we've
Making
been,
cans, I
like,
mean,
we've grown
depositing cans, not recycling
like
that.
very fond
Isn't
of our
a huge
cars
benefit
and
because you
our,
get like a few
like,
cents per
whatever
can,
energy
or
we
plastic
use
bottle
every
you
single
get,
day, and I think it
or
would
even
be,
the 10th of a cent
it
or
would
something
probably
like that.
cause a
So, I
huge
mean,
crisis
right
if we
there,
took something like
there
that
are
away from
not
us,
that
just
many
because at
benefits.
this point, we're so used
But
to using
at
them
the
every
same
day
time, governments do
that
offer
it
for
would be
people
seen
that are
as probably
making
a huge
houses
government
that are green and on the
overpowering
buildings, they're going to be green, sustainable,
issue
for solar energy.
that would
They
cause
will give you more
harm
grant
than
and
good.
loan money.
The problem with
I don't know, how do you guys
this
feel
type of
about
issue
that?
with an environmental issue is it's not like
I think that is,
World War II. It's not
a good
this is happening
way to
now.
promote
If we don't do it right
sustainable
now,
living if you know,
it messes
maybe
everything
give
up.
like
Environmental issues are more over
tax
time.
write-offs to
They
people
gather,
who
they
recycle
gather. Right
more
now,
or
it is a big
do,
issue because we're
green
reaching the
things,
point
and then maybe,
where eventually we're going to
you know,
make such
make
a
it
bad impact
harder
that we
to,
won't be able to fix it.
or less
I don't
affordable
think we're at that point
to
yet,
do,
which is
like
why a
what's
lot of
bad
people
for the
will be
environment.
upset if
so tax,
we act
like
like we are.
maybe
I'm
higher
trying to
tax
take
on
all
gas,
these
or
measures,
like
like
if you have
there is nothing else
more
we
cars
can do
than you need in your
because
home,
right now
more than
that
2 cars or
isn't
something like, find a way to
Similarly,
tax
the World War II,
excessive things like that.
rationalization of government controlling
Yeah, I
rationing.
agree.
We've been in war, you know what I mean? We've been in war for a decade, and we're not rationing things. So for them to, in the modern era, it's not the same as war was in the 1940s, you know what I mean? Like, we don't have to ration. So I think many Americans will not see the similarities between those two things.
agree with how it's like a very different time than in World War II. It's not being but at the same time, I think if you don't do something, you don't have to do all the way with like rationing, but if you don't do something that'll spark people's attention and on the severity of the issue, it's just gonna escalate.
So we're all agreeing that rationing is not really an option, it's way too drastic. Well, currently, people are beginning to take some little actions, they're maybe getting more sustainable cars and things, but that's not enough right now. So what would you suggest that we do that isn't quite so drastic as rationing, but is more than what we're doing now? What would you suggest? Maybe government incentives?
This seems kind of mean and like unfair to, I guess, a lot of the population, but I think raising the gas prices, like Britain has really high gas prices, kind of go towards that direction. So people drive less. Like, I know not everyone can afford like a hybrid vehicle, electrics are expensive, but you can find ways to cut down.
Well, going back on like your gas thing, they do implement
I think it would be
a tax in like foreign
fascinating to
countries,
see what would happen
Germany,
if
Canada,
you made it more expensive
Europe
to
and all that.
something that is
And
environmentally.
how would that, like Americans have the lowest gas
Because
tax, it's like
I think it would cause a
not
lot
even
of
a dollar.
problems because
How
a lot
would
of
that
people are,
affect
like,
our
gas
way of
prices are
living
already
if we
high.
would,
It's already
say,
hard to
implement a
be
higher
a college
gas
student
tax?
and own a car.
Would
Like,
that
that is
work
not something that happens a lot
for
anymore.
all people
And even
if we
for
have a higher gas tax?
older people who don't make that much money, they struggle with cars. So I think it would be a very severe change, but I think it might be good.
But also like America
So
is
we
such a big country.
Yeah, I would agree that that's definitely an option.
Suburban neighborhood where
It
you
would
can use your car and
definitely
secure
help with
where
this
countries
issue.
are smaller, public transportation.
But
is so much
I
better.
definitely worry about the
There are more
fact
taxes, there are more
as to
buses,
if our economy and if our
it's so much
families
easier to
can
get around.
afford this
Like,
change
you
right now
need to
because
pay
of
for
the
it.
state of the economy.
So I think
I'm sure, I have no doubt they will adjust, but one, they won't like it, and two,
like I think there are
it
other
might be
things
hard,
to consider.
depending on how severe
That
this
like,
tax.
Yeah.
I think there'd be a lot of political
Compromising.
backlash.
Yeah.
I think the people who approve this would be quickly voted out of office. I mean, just by the average American who can't afford to continue to pay a lot of money to get to work or to get to school. And
It's really interesting that we think, because this issue doesn't seem like a huge issue right now, like people keep telling us that it's such a big deal. But like,
Well, would
I
like
haven't seen
another
any problems, there's
alternative like
nothing wrong
public
with the environment
transit
to
be
me.
more widely available
My life is
for
fine.
people? Would
Since
that
it's not
work
directly
as an
affecting
alternative
my
to
life,
everybody
feel like
driving
I
their
would be
cars every day?
terribly upset if they raise gas prices because then I wouldn't be able to drive. And I think that's a lot of the problem in America is that since it's not directly affecting our life at this point in time, like it's in the future. It's not something that's happening to us right now. So a lot of people are too greedy to realize that it needs to be done now instead of later.
So do you all think that America's kind of too sheltered from these issues? Like we consume a copious amount of resources compared to our population. It's much more than any other country per person. So do you think we're a little too sheltered compared to other countries around the world? We don't really see this issue now.
Yeah, I definitely think so. And I think, maybe part of it is that we're so isolated. We only have like Canada and Mexico. Mexico's like very different. They deal with far different issues. In Canada, I mean, that's all we have to compare against. But like people in countries in Europe are influenced by each other. So like once one of them makes a change,
In
within like
the
the
Penn
European
State
Union,
community, we have the
sort
CATA
of
buses
starts to
that
change
bring you
the
everywhere, and
So it's hard for us
everybody's
to
always using them, and not a lot of people,
keep
you know.
up
As
sustainability,
freshmen,
but
we don't have cars on
it's,
campus, so it's not like we
I
take
think
our cars
we have
downtown,
to
and a
try
lot
to
of
make
people
that
take the buses, and it brings you,
yeah, I think
pretty
when I
close to
think
your
of like
destination, so
the
it's not that
effects
hard
of
to get off the
excessive
nearest bus stop and
fossil
then
fuel
walk
consumption,
across
like I think
to
of like the coal rates in like Australia,
I think
and
it's
how
gonna
they're
be
disappearing so quickly and how probably the next generation isn't going to have, you know, the Great Barrier Reef is going to be something in history, you know, and, but it's Australia and I live in Pennsylvania, and so I don't want to adjust my lifestyle. Like it's a coral reef, and I think that's that's a mindset a lot of humans have. And it's tough, and that shouldn't, I mean, why should like humans be like eradicating something in the ocean? You know what I mean? Like there's no reason for that.
I think Americans are, and that's like a very strong statement, but I think that we are a very selfish country, and I think that we, as a whole, do not pay a lot of attention to the issues of the world. I think we pay a lot of
With
attention
public
to our issues.
transportation, I mean, that's not the only thing that also affects it. What about rationing like water and electricity? I know electricity would be probably the hardest thing for Americans to transition, or not even Americans, the entire world. But could we do stuff with like water or something else besides, probably, well, besides just gas?
I also think that it matters that our country is I think that like there aren't many options for travel if you're not going to use cars or airplanes or whatever. It's like fossil fuels. Like other countries are much smaller, like the size of some of our states. And our country's huge and people live all over, and it's just the most convenient way to travel is to use fossil fuels.
So that's a good issue brought up. A lot of countries over in Europe and stuff, they have trains and stuff, a massive train system. I know England has massive underground systems.
Yeah, I know.
All the countries over there have systems like that. Do you think our government needs to work harder to implement transportation systems? Is it practical in the US at all?
Yeah. That's like a very simple thing you can do, like go in the shower, just take a shower, not to like
make up for that.
have,
I
yeah,
feel
like
like a couple of
luxury,
years ago, there's a
relaxing time, like
proposition,
that's a very
and
easy thing.
it was to
and
build like a
doable thing that all
high-speed
of us
train
could
from San
do.
Francisco to
Cut back
LA.
like 5 or 10
And,
minutes.
I used to live in California, and
Focusing
this,
a lot.
I mean, like, I was in high school, so all teachers talking about it, and to me, it just seemed like the dumbest thing in the world. It takes 8 hours to get from San Francisco to LA. It's gonna cost like $1 billion to keep on raising, like, they keep on raising like the budget for this thing. You can take a plane there in 50 minutes. You can take Amtrak, it'll probably take you like 12 hours. But to build a high-speed train from San Francisco to LA just seemed like so dumb to me. And now I understand the context more, you know, it's more efficient. But at the same time, it's billions of dollars for a train when there are countless other ways to get people to hitchhike from LA to San Francisco. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't need a high-speed train. And so I think in theory, it seems like a good idea, but in practice, that's people's tax dollars. And I mean, how many people in California are gonna be using this high-speed train? You know what I mean? It's a huge state. There are a lot of different issues that money could be going towards education, schools are being closed, and they're building a train. So
Going
I
back
think,
to convenience of businesses.
I don't know, it
I read a
passed, the
study
proposition,
where
people voted for it. So I think that
Go to
it's,
businesses that actually have
I
an
think
Energy
that
Star
if we're
free.
gonna focus on
It's an organization called
transportation to make it more
It's
efficient, I
local
think it needs to
governments
be
for sustainability, and more
really
people prefer to
important.
shop
And I think that it needs to
energy
be, I think it's gonna
efficient,
need to help a lot of people. I think that
energy efficient
passing
businesses than they
propositions
do
to build
for
trains
other
from San Francisco
businesses,
to LA
because
aren't,
one of the things that
it's
they
not
do
correct. I
is they
personally,
offer
I
an
just don't
award
think
for
that's
the most
the right
energy
way to
efficient
stress that.
businesses. And it
Yeah, I
says consumers prefer to shop
in the
if
US,
they get a green star on
we're
there saying
not
that
really
they're
set up.
environmentally friendly.
An excellent moderator, you guys.
That's one of the things, but how do you guys feel about that thing? Would you shop in a more energy and
I really practice
energy kind of business?
You took notes, how would you?
I did take notes.
I respect it.
Thank you.
Well, like, another thing is, if you see a business, a lot of businesses promote that they're going to be energy friendly.
Yeah.
And that they say that because more people want to see a healthy business and that they're striving for the environment. That's one of the things that businesses promote, and they take pride in because then more consumers will shop there by default. Even though the consumer doesn't recycle themselves,
Well,
if
the
they see
train
it's
and our
really
trains.
nice, then they want to go and
Alright,
they
so,
will shop there
I was
because
gonna
they
say
know
that
they're doing
America,
it.
I think it'd be really hard to
And
build
that's one
a
of the changes
huge
that this
widespread
organization
public transit
made.
system, because we're so
To
spread
attract
out.
more
I think it is a
people.
driving country now, always will be that way, so if we put our money to building infrastructure for electric cars, because it's like the biggest problem. If you buy an electric car, it's kind of hard for you to charge it up and get around. But if you get gas stations to put like charging things and stuff, or maybe design a system where you like replace the batteries so it's like a quick way to charge it. then it would be a lot more helpful to other people.
I think another problem is that our country is in so much debt and that there are so many things that we need to fix before we fix the entire world, you know? There are like a lot of internal problems that are more immediate
help
than
the
the
environment by shopping here, we would all do it.
Yeah, it's definitely a hard thing to bring up now with state of the budget with our Congress is getting them to spend more on environmental problems. We really have to push them because if not, then they're just gonna fall behind all these other costs. The last thing we need to spend more money on this when the public won't be like happy, especially with anything that isn't supported like nationwide.
Also, if you consider like personal debt, there's so much unemployment right now that people really
So it
can't
seems everybody
afford.
wants sustainability and
Being
make
more
like to
environmentally
participate in that.
friendly
It's
is
just
so much more
hard
expensive
for
at this point in
everybody
time
to
because it's not like an easy thing to do. Like this time, like it's not efficient enough that it's cheap. So people can't really afford it. And our country can't really afford it. So if you raise taxes or raise consumer costs, everyone will get angry because like we are not in a good state to
Yeah, how do you think I feel? I feel pretty great right now.
personal and
Okay, so you guys,
government debt.
I think this brings up how people really don't think of the environment and the economy as related at all, but when you really look at it, this brings up how they really affect each other directly, because like you're saying, to be environmentally friendly is costly, and even to try to find ways to put the research into finding ways to make it less costly is expensive. Just that the research is expensive. So, do you think that we need to put, is our money best spent on research for developing environmentally friendly and cheap things, cheap like cars or lights? Is our money best spent there or on education and things like that?
I think if you ever want to solve this problem, money needs to go into making environmentally friendly things more efficient. But like I said, there are many more pressing issues in the country that are like happening right now, that matter right now, like education and everything like that. So I think it would be hard to convince someone that we need to spend more dollars on environmentally friendly things.
Yeah, because that comes back to how Americans are selfish, and we don't, if it's not affecting us right now, in the moment, we don't care about it. We said it'll fix itself.
And I think that imposing trying to get especially like on a large scale corporations to make more, to produce things more environmentally friendly, it would just cause a lot of outsourcing, which would negatively.
that's a very good point.
Good point.
An example that they highlighted here was that in World War II,
Yeah, so I mean,
we were,
do you
all of
think
our food was
that we
rationed
should not
under
put as much pressure on the government to do something and put more pressure on the businesses
at
themselves
the moment.
and like
And
the
right now,
private
we can't
sector
tell
and
that something's gonna be happening.
private
We can't tell
companies,
that
should
we're
they
depleting our resources
be
because
pressured?
we're not depleted yet.
Because
So my
really
question
like
in
the
response
government
to what
has
you said is, so you
much
explain
more to
that
deal
shock
with
value.
than
And,
these
you know,
companies
if
who are
like they were to advertise something like that,
really being
it's
inefficient
important
in the
to
way
point
they
out
run
that
things
a lot of
just to
the
save a
corporations
couple
that would be in
save a
charge of
couple bucks.
advertising something like
I
that are
think
also in
the
charge
problem
of
with
providing
private
those
influence
products that
companies
they
in general
depleting
is that they are so
our
biased
natural
by the
resources.
government,
So
the
how,
federal government
as
at least.
as
You
the
go and you
public
lobby at
of-
Congress and
of
you
the
go
country,
directly
how
to the
would we
source
be
of
able
where
to,
you want to affect it.
you know,
But if you're
make it
saying, I
known
want
that
to
we would
change
be willing
this field, I want to get all the companies in this field to change something.
rely more on eco.
I don't know how you're going to go about going to every
Can I
company.
that question?
And then
Yeah,
one company is probably going to, if they all change their thing, I will.
because they won't,
That's not going to get anywhere, it's going to get a giant stalemate.
it
So
is not, like, if
I
they
think
don't see that it's
maybe our
economically
government has to
viable, like if they see that it doesn't make
impose
sense for them
something
financially,
to either
then why would they
make it
advertise
beneficial for these
any, like, like
companies to do environmental
like a
stuff,
green product?
or make
something
it
like that, you know?
have some tax to make it harmful for them to do these types of things.
I just keep
I feel like you made it a single.
I just think it's a cultural thing. There's a product that
Well,
people
I'm not
don't,
sure
are not
what companies
attracted to,
that are
or, like,
widespread,
want in their homes.
car companies, any big nationwide companies that are doing the majority of the consuming are owned business.
Yeah, it's hard for a state to say, tell a company what to do because most companies are not in one state, hardly even in one country.
If you think about it from the company's point of view, it doesn't really make sense. If you think about that's gonna cause them to raise prices, you know? You go to a grocery store and you can buy a box of Frosted Flakes for $2 or Kashi for $8. You know, Frosted Flakes doesn't wanna raise their prices just to be environmentally friendly like Kashi, you know? And that's a deterrent for them because that's their edge. They're $2 instead of $8, you know?
Yeah, I think if you were to try to fix it, it would have to be federal government issue.
Well, do you think that, like what Chris said, do you think it should just be that the government, because really the government doesn't have the money to spend on finding better ways, finding more efficient ways. So do you think they should pass laws or make taxes that would be, make it beneficial for companies to be more efficient? Should they make it illegal to be, have like a certain carbon footprint for a company?
Yeah. I think that would be interesting.
I think there's already like carbon taxes for like energy plants and stuff. But I think I just heard something about this. Like the biggest issue now is like now you can't build coal plants anymore. I don't think because they don't meet the standards. But the ones that are there right now, like get away with it.
Like grandfathered in?
Yeah. So if they like pass a law or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, to at least make it so that they have to be more efficient, not as efficient as the ones that are being built now, because clearly if you can't build coal plants, the ones that are there now aren't going to be up to standards. But there should be something at least, right?
Figure out a way to phase them out.
Yeah.
So then this gets back economically back to the original problem with taxing the public for these types of things. If you tax the businesses, they're going to raise their prices and the public is still spending more. So is it better just to go directly to the public and pass the businesses? I'm not sure which one is more efficient, to have the businesses be more economic or have the
Yeah, because
same price.
if you phase out coal plants, there are whole towns and cities where everyone works at the coal plant, and that's all they've known, and that's how they make their money. And if that's gone, then they have nothing left. And that comes back to the economically with like families, they don't have the money to spend. They don't have the money to care about these environmental issues. It's not that they don't care about the environment. It's that they economically can't care about them. They like financially, all they have is the coal plant to give them money, and that's how they make their money. So obviously, if they're gonna be a proponent of that, so how do you think you could go about phasing out these places where that's all they know and that's their whole income?
You could, like, as you phase out a particular coal plant, introduce like renewable energy plant.
Yeah.
Fill the job.
I know like a lot of Americans are like stuck in their ways and they're like, why do this now? It's not going to affect me later.
It's a lot.
I think we can start
Yeah.
maybe educating about sustainability in like elementary school age and young kids. Because then they're likely to go home to their parents and say,
money
you
should
know,
be put into anything. It should be
Mom,
figuring
maybe
out
you
how
need to start doing this,
efficiently
or like using less water. I know when Disney
I
Channel
think
had that,
that's going to be the thing that needs to
I don't know,
happen
they had like
first.
this
And then,
little
I mean, if it's
green thing,
efficient,
and
you
my
can't.
sister was like
What's the
so
point
into
of
it,
using
she's
fossil
like,
fuels? You know, you can go
I'm
to
gonna
the
take
grocery
5-minute
store
showers,
and
I'm
say
gonna
it costs the
recycle, I'm gonna
same.
do everything.
So just do this instead.
You know, that
I think
can
that's
like
what's
spark like parents
going to make
to
the
be more
biggest
into it, and I
change.
think if we get the kids into it,
Yeah.
then parents will, you know,
No, there's a reason that
understand
this
as well,
issue has been on the
like
table
through the
for
kids
so
and
long,
educating them, and then
because
they'll grow up with
it's
those
not easy to change when
values,
people
and
are
then I
willing
think
to
if
change it.
gradually
So
start
like you
to
said, I
change.
think that the only way that people would be accepting of it is if it were the same cost and that their daily lives were not altered drastically, which is what this would pose.
Yeah, the energy in general almost is required to be a gradual trend because anything significant, say we eliminate or highly tax any oil use. The problem with that is that immediately or over the next couple of years oil consumption will go down, then oil prices will go back down, and it'll go back to being more efficient to use oil. So if we do anything drastic, it will immediately cause all these oil companies to drop their prices so they can probably sell more. And then people will go straight back to using gas. I think we saw this over the past couple of years. We had higher gas prices that we saw. It went up a lot in the early 2000s. And then people started using buses and started using everything. And then gradually we went back into the same trend of using our cars again because it became just as expensive. So I think in general gas companies went down a tier of price level just to adjust for the need. And I'm wondering how long that'll happen until the companies themselves can probably afford to drop down in price and get us back.
Yeah, and going back to, going back to raising gas prices, the higher price, like the extra money that they're getting from the higher prices on gas, like, you have to wonder where that would go. Because if you raise prices, gas companies are just going to make more money.
Or it would be raised in the form of tax and government the money.
So then should that be, if we were to raise taxes on gas, should that money automatically go, should it be designated as money that would go to research for more efficient energy sources?
Yeah. Totally think that would work. I think the only conclusion that we've agreed on is that we need to make energy, like environmentally friendly energy more efficient. And that is what our money should go to, rather than like buying
How do you think majority of the public,
I mean, we
just
can all
in
agree
America,
on that.
we are leading in, overconsumption? How do you
Really, we
think they
just
would react
need
to
to
these
agree on
suggested changes?
how to
Like,
do
obviously,
that.
you guys,
Because
you seem to be willing
then
to
raising the money for that.
understand the effects that this could have in 100 years.
I
Do you
think,
guys
I mean,
think that if there was
the
a
gas
campaign
prices
to
would
have
be
people understand
perfect way
what
to do that,
they
because
were doing,
it's really like killing two birds with one stone. You discourage driving, and you discourage using fossil
like
fuels,
maybe,
and at the same time
pay
you
more for gas
raise money
if they
for
were carpooling or something,
energy
to have,
sources, renewable
what do you
and more
call it,
efficient energy sources.
solar panels,
Do
yeah.
you remember how angry people got when when gas went up to like $4 or $5?
Yeah.
I could not hear anything else in my household. There was nothing else. It was just gas prices. So it would seriously upset the general public. I mean, it could be done. Like, I think it would be an option, but it would be very upsetting.
And yeah, are people ready for that? Or can people afford that? And, but would
Well,
that
if you
bring?
make the alternative
It
more
could
A lot of
affordable.
these things would be expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, that's gonna take a long time.
If that money goes to, like you said before, if that money goes towards putting in more charging stations for electric cars, or developing more efficient cars,
The government maybe.
say that money goes straight to finding better cars, then that'll discourage people from using
That's one of the.
gasoline-powered cars and encourage electric or hydrogen, however you want to, whatever cars are developed.
I feel like it's still going to be hard to make people understand that. I know that if gas prices go up for me and there's charging stations at gas stations, I don't have the money to buy a new car, so I'm going to buy a new car, I just think it's going to be really hard help Americans to understand that this is, obviously it's for the best, but I just think that Americans see prices, they see prices going up and they don't, and it's not for a war, it's not for something that's immediately happening. It's gonna be hard for people to understand that, but I think that it's I don't know the word, it's like it's the way that Americans think, and obviously that way that we've been thinking has been, destroying the world. So we have to train people to understand that even though what we're doing is, even though it's not immediate, it's gonna be immediate. It's gonna be a real issue for people, for future generations who don't do something now. And I know that I've seen like projections of like New Orleans like being in the ocean in like 50 years, and like a low emissions or like a high emissions scenario. And I think that's something that needs to be shown to a lot of people. Because I think that's easy to understand. That's America. That's not somewhere else. That's a city underwater because of the way that we are consuming fossil fuels.
But I think like we've been telling people that kind of statistic for a long time. And no one's doing it because it's like a group mentality. No one wants to take responsibility. So I think like some of the ideas we were coming up with earlier, like raising gas prices, is drastic. But I think we have to start doing something like that because it's the benefits of that I feel like far outweigh negatives.
And when people see stuff like that, and they see those projections, we saw back in the 50s, people were saying, oh, we'll have flying cars by the year 2000. And everyone sees that and goes, oh, New Orleans will be underwater in 50 years, but how much can they trust that? Like, people become conditioned to not really trust those predictions. So, what do you think in...
Pretty much. I think it would be pretty cool if our government, maybe instead of jacking up prices of gas so much, creates a new policy where instead of how the budget works is you get the pool of taxes and from there you split everything up. I know it's never happened in the past, but if you could directly from gas taxes do environmental work and if they could create some policy where it would definitely be new for the budget, and I'm afraid that's why it wouldn't pass well, but have money directly from energy-related funds go toward renewable energy funds, and that would be really beneficial. And I'm wondering, we'd have to do some research just to look at any other governments that have done something similar and convince our government that that is what's necessary, is funds from the problem and need to go toward the
So basically, the one big conclusion we've come to is raising gas prices through a tax would be the most beneficial and would make the problem of the environment real to people. And to have that extra money go to, find a way to make it directly go to finding more efficient sources of energy and stuff like that would be the most beneficial thing to do to help the environment.
If you look at the
Thank you.
Sure.
We actually don't have any.
Our predictions have been wrong.